Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the September 16th, 2025 School Board of Martin County Regular School Board meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order and offer Dr. Darrell Orman from the First Baptist Church of Stuart to do our opening prayer. Now stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Falls, will you call the roll, please?
Dr. Moriarty?
Here.
Mrs. Roberts?
Here.
Mrs. Powers?
Here.
Mrs. Russell?
Here.
Mrs. Pritchett?
Here.
May I have a motion for the approval of the agenda and the addendum with the following items added? 7.03, addendum to personnel recommendations. 18.10, proposed MOU general agreement, IRL NEP atmospheric station weather station with Indian River Lagoon Council. The following items updated: 9.01, workshop, August 5th, 2025. 9.02, August 5th, 2025, special school board meeting. 9.03, August 19th, 2025, regular school board meeting. 18.03, implementation of the critical shortage supplements for ESE teachers and educational paraprofessionals. 18.06, superintendent contract. 18.09, five-year capital plan. 19.01, 2028 District Advisory Council new, and 1904, 8210 school calendar, and no items removed. May I have a motion?
Move to approve the updated agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Moriarty, a second by Ms. Powers. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we have items of consent. Are there any questions or concerns regarding the items of consent?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Dr. Moriarty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we come now to board member discussion. Do we have any items for discussion? Seeing none, we will now go to, let's see, 13.01, AI teacher leaders, Ms. Platt and Patrick Sermino. Thank you. Apologize, it's me, it's me.
Oh, it's okay. My name is Heather Platt, and I serve as the Director of Professional Learning, and with me,
I'm Patrick Sermino, and I'm a digital learning specialist.
we are excited to share how artificial intelligence is shaping and teaching learning in Martin County School District. Over the past 2 years, our digital learning specialists have led professional learning to help teachers integrate AI into their classrooms. This past school year, we launched the AI Teacher Leaders Program to build internal capacity, and today we are really proud to recognize the inaugural cohort. Before we introduce them, Patrick will provide just a brief overview of the program.
Yeah, we're excited to have some of our AI teacher leaders here with us this afternoon. Beginning of last school year, Katie Bond and Stephanie Ressler, who are also here today, we realized that the district needed to move forward with AI integration. We also realized that not everyone was ready for it. We thought that the best path was to really lean into some of the courageous, forward-thinking teachers who were ready to move forward. And these teacher leaders, they volunteered to be part of this program. They made a commitment to doing deeper learning after long days of teaching. They committed to using AI to improve their teacher practice. They committed to using AI with their students, which, by the way, early last year, that was not being done that much around the country. So this was definitely something that we were pioneering. And they agreed to be leaders in their school and share their practices with their colleagues. So just some by the numbers really quick. We ended up with 41 AI teacher leaders, and they represented elementary, middle, and high schools. We have 9 platforms on the Martin County School District Network, 9 AI platforms that teachers can use. 7 of those platforms can be used by students. We're not chasing every AI platform that's out there. We are carefully curating the best of the platforms. And these platforms that students use, they've entered into a data privacy agreement with us. These platforms are completely transparent, so that means that teachers see every student interaction with AI. And these platforms, they're really designed to act as supportive tutors. So we've got some big numbers up here. During last school year, we had almost 500,000 teacher interactions with AI. So just picture that for a moment. With each of these interactions, teachers are becoming more efficient and more effective. And I think the number to the right, we're going to see that number go up dramatically this year as more students interact with AI. And with each of those interactions, students are getting personalized support in ways that were never possible before. So let's go inside one of our AI teacher leaders' classroom. This is Hope Sound Elementary, and we're taking a look at Barb Cagney's 4th grade class. And instead of just reading about the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, they've got their laptops out because Ms. Cagney also created historical chatbots on the Magic School program. With this district-sanctioned curriculum, it was actually uploaded to the program. So the AI is only drawing from the curriculum that the teacher wants. And those historical chatbots are acting as railroad tycoons and Chinese immigrant workers. And students, in addition to reading, they are having a dialogue, a historical chat, if you will, with these chatbots. And just think about how much richer that educational experience would be. In Ms. Cagney's class later, there was a culminating writing assignment. They were writing about the achievements of Henry Flagler. And they were doing it on a platform called Class Companion. So when this 4th grader, while she's writing, she can get support from AI. It won't write any part of it for her, but it'll guide her through the writing process. And when she submits her first draft, she's going to get instant feedback on her writing. Not general feedback, but feedback on her actual writing. So that's personalized, adaptive support in the moment, and that is very powerful. So Barb Cagney is one of our many AI teacher leaders who are leading this kind of work in our classrooms. And we're going to go ahead and recognize all of our teacher leaders now. These teacher leaders, they're paving the way for really important student impacts. This instant support that's tailored to each student's needs, it was never possible before this. So let's go ahead and recognize our teacher leaders.
Patrick. So some of our teacher leaders could not be here this afternoon, but we will go ahead and call their names. If you are present, please come up. As Patrick shared, I do want to thank and celebrate the digital learning specialists who we had on staff last year who pioneered this and have worked diligent lead to get it off the ground. So if you could please help me recognize Stephanie Ressler, Katie Bond. You guys come on. Oh, come on up. We're going to get you in the photo. Katie Bond, and then also Patrick Cermino. All right. So with that, we will go through our AI teacher leaders. There's quite a few, so feel free to hold your applause to the end. So starting with Kelsey Mulvannerton, Michelle Gerals, Barb Cagney, Karen Onsager, thank you, Katie, Jennifer Moriali, Michael Hyatt, Janine Malavasi, Charles Santos, Jolisa Swain, Sonia Amaya, Melissa Dubois, Christina Davis, Danica Rybicki, Aurelis McCarthy, Mark Turrell, I hope I said that right, Amanda Amavor, Christina Almy, Corel King, Kevin Boudreau, Tammy Haynes, Nadine Zanarti, I hope I said that correct, Sandy Collins, Sierra Treaster, Kelly Collins, June Perilli, Joshua Burgess, Cheryl Odsa, Ashley Kemmler, Erica Wozni, Denise Music, Leanne Pike, Elizabeth Figueroa, I think I saw Lee here, and Casey Ann Lee. So congratulations to our AI teacher leaders, and to those of you who are here, we'll take a nice little photo.
Please come up for a picture if your name was called. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No, go ahead. No.
Thank you all for being the pioneers. We appreciate it. Ms. Roberts has a question. Ms. Platt?
So the curriculum components of these, are these considered supplemental, so they don't need to go through the adoption process, or how are you, or is it considered core?
So when you say the curriculum, are you talking, so the curriculum that Patrick referenced as far as what is put into the AI platforms are all district-approved curriculums. The platforms such as School AI, Class Companion, those are additional digital programs, I would say.
Curriculum. I would say that they're curriculum agnostic. There's no content in the curriculum. These are tools where teachers can use district-approved curriculum and do lots of things with them that are helpful for students. But these AI platforms, they don't necessarily have curriculum sort of that's already there, if that makes sense.
Correct, yeah, so I wasn't asking so much about the platforms, I was asking more about the curriculum piece of it, whether this is being classified as supplemental, which means that it wouldn't need to go through an adoption process. I just want to be clear on that it's not part of the core curriculum that needs the adoption piece.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had one very quick question. You showed the slide of the users, the teacher users and the students. Was that from the very beginning of the 24-25 school year, or are we talking, how many months of data have you collected on how they're using it?
Yeah, so that data actually, the numbers that I put up there were from the entire 24-25 school year. The teacher leaders, the work we did with them really started in November.
Okay,
So,
all right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Tracy Miller to honor our School Bus Operator of the Year, Yvonne Eicher.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Superintendent, members of the board. I'm thrilled to be here this evening, and I'm going to do my best to represent Director Spires, who is back at the Transportation Department office this evening. And so you're going to get a combination of her comments and mine. And if we hold true to form over here, Ms. Yvonne, we may or may not have shed a few tears during the ceremony. So we will try to not repeat that. I don't know, did I just tell on us? I might have shared a secret.
Tears are okay.
So I am here this evening to help to honor the lady next to me, who is an outstanding representative of the employees we have here in the Martin County School District. And our employees, and Miss Yvonne, exemplifies the very best of what it means to serve our students, our families, and community with dedication, heart, and professionalism. And today, and actually all month, we've been celebrating our School Bus Operator of the Year with a title that reflects not only exceptional skill behind the wheel, but also compassion, consistency, and really an unwavering commitment to student safety and well-being. This year's recipient, and not only is she the recipient of School Bus Operator of the Year here in Martin County, but she won the entire state of Florida. And so not only is it my honor to be here with her this evening, but also to be in Tallahassee with her about a week ago, where we attended the 27th Annual Florida Missing Children's Day formal ceremony, where Yvonne Eicher was recognized. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't seen or heard about this ceremony, it really is a place and time that honors people just like Yvonne. And so to know that there are people throughout the state of Florida who are so dedicated and passionate about taking care of our children, knowing that one of the knowing that one of the winners is right here in Martin County just really speaks to who you have here, who we have here taking care of our children. So she has gone above and beyond in every aspect of her role, whether it's greeting students with a smile, and you see she's got a great one, maintaining impeccable safety standards, or stepping up to support fellow drivers or her director or any of the managers in the office who call on her frequently. She also implements safety practices and protocols that literally save lives. She's navigated early mornings, unpredictable weather, and ever-changing needs of our routes with grace and reliability. But more than that, she's built trust with our students, parents, and our entire team. And it didn't take long for us to get to know each other. Yvonne Eicher's professionalism, patience, and positive attitude have had a lasting impact. It's clear that for her, this work is not just a job, it's a calling, and taking care of children and her fellow colleagues is really what she's here for every day. So on behalf of the entire transportation team and truly all of us here in the Martin County School District, it's with great pride that I introduce to our community the Florida School Bus Operator of the Year for Martin County and the entire state of Florida, Yvonne Eicher. Thank you. What's that? Can we go up to the photo? Okay. All right.
Congratulations. Mark Cowles will now give the district presentation for Constitution Week 2025.
Thank you, Superintendent Main, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm Mark Cowles, Coordinator of Executive Initiatives of Martin County Schools. Here to talk about Constitution Week 2025. Tomorrow is the official start of Constitution Week, but we got a jump start today. Thank you to Mrs. Watkins and Mrs. Parker from Crystal Lake Elementary. Had a fabulous presentation out there today. Throughout the week, our school sites will be providing instruction on the Constitution. And in addition to that, thank you to Dan Moore and Dr. Paige McMahon from Curriculum Instruction, helped us get some additional resources out to our school sites in addition to our adopted materials. And because these are supplemental, they do not have to go through the adoption process. Just want to make that noted there. Special thank yous to Superintendent Maine and the board for making this a priority and making it known the Constitution and education about the Constitution is important. Thank you to the Education Foundation, the Martin County Parent Teacher Association, several law firms, Eberst Law, Atlas Solomon, and better get them all here. McCarthy, Summers, Wood, Norman, Melby, Schultz, another Wood, and Van Valkenburg. Thank you for your financial contributions, your times and talents, providing our guest speakers. I'm pleased to announce that 16 of our 20 school sites will be hosting guest speakers. That's the highest number we've had in 5 years on our goal of getting 20 out of 20. The goal of Constitution Week is to educate, raise awareness, and teach us about the responsibilities about this amazing document. And we have a couple guest speakers that are going to come up today. A huge thank you to the Martin County Bar Association and Lauren Esposito. I've gotten to know Lauren very well over the past few weeks. Her passion is unrelenting. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I think it's supposed to be a compliment. She's been great. I'm going to tell a quick little story, though. I gave her a high anxiety. We had put out our memo about Constitution Week, and she had asked about how many schools signed up, so we had sent that out on a Tuesday. She contacted me on Wednesday, and we had 3. And she was in a panic, and she's like, oh, this event's going to be terrible. And I said, Lawrence, the first week of school. We're just getting him settled in. So the number grew each week, and I think she's very happy about that number. So at this time, it's a pleasure from the McCarthy one. I'm not going to read all the names again. Lauren Esposito.
Superintendent Maine, Madam Chair, and school board members, I just wanted to thank you for allowing Martin County Bar Association to continue the teaching of the Constitution for the past 21 years. We've partnered with the Martin County School District to bring education regarding the Constitution, our founding documents, and it really has been such a joy to see the kids participate in Q&A, and we have prizes for them, and I have an inflatable George Washington, and they just really love it and are understanding how our country was just founded 249 years ago. We're not that old. Next year is 2026, which will be the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So we will make sure that we work together to hit the 20 out of 20 school presentation goals, and so many attorneys wanted to present and were willing because they want to do their part to teach the Constitution to our children so they understand the importance of the document. So thank you so much for partnering with us and allowing this to go to our schools. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unrelenting, told you. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce from the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Halpatioke chapter. The Daughters of the American Revolution were instrumental in Constitution Week becoming a thing many, many years ago, but she's going to talk about that. Please welcome Kathy McCarthy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kathy McCartney, and I taught in Martin County Schools for 28 years. But I would never be a bus driver, I just have to say that. I'm so proud of that lady, because that's a job I could not do. I am the regent of Halpatioke chapter, National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Halpatioke thanks you for this opportunity to accept the proclamation from the Martin County School Board acknowledging the September the 17th through the 23rd is Constitution Week. Now, as a good teacher, I have to give a little bit more into this. The United States Constitution, America's most important document, stands as a testament to the tenacity of Americans throughout history to maintain their liberties, their freedoms, and inalienable rights. And Constitution Week is celebrated annually during the week of September 17th through the 23rd to commemorate its important history, importance, and bring attention to how it serves us still today. This celebration of the Constitution was started by the Daughters of the American Revolution. In 1955, DAR petitioned Congress to set aside September the 17th through the 23rd annually to be dedicated for the observance of Constitution Week. The resolution was later adopted by the U.S. Congress and signed into public law on August the 2nd, 1956, by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. The DAR has also erected a structure that is built in tribute to the Constitution of the United States, DAR Constitution Hall, which is a performing arts center opened in 1929. The aims of Constitution Week celebration are to emphasize citizens' responsibilities for protecting and defending the Constitution, to inform people that the Constitution is the basis for America's great heritage and the foundation for our way of life, to encourage the study of the historical events which led to the framing of the Constitution in September 1787. Constitution Week is a great time to learn more about this important document and celebrate the freedom it gives us. One additional point is tomorrow is Bells Across America, and it's an annual celebration of the signing of the U.S. Constitution. We hope that you, as participants, gather to ring bells, much as the church bells of Philadelphia rang when the Constitution was first signed at 4 p.m. on September the 17th, 1787. Consider organizing a group to ring bells on September 17th for 1 minute at 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time to herald the beginning of the commemorative week. And I thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Kathy and the Daughters America reps, thank you again for the proclamation, which will now be read by School Board Chair Pritchett.
Thank you. This is the proclamation of Martin County School Board, whereas September 17, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the adoption of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas the Constitution is the most important document of these United States, and whereas the Constitution stands as a testament to the tenacity of Americans throughout our history, and whereas it is fitting and proper to lend this board's dignity to this wholly remarkable document, the safeguard of our freedoms, and to commemorate this anniversary, and whereas there has been a spectacular new emphasis on the Founding Fathers by the arts across this nation, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through 23 as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, we, the Martin County School Board, by virtue of the authority vested in us, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week, and encourage all citizens and students of Martin County to study the Constitution, the historical events which led to its framing, and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege entails, including taking personal responsibility for protecting and defending our Constitution against those who wish to subvert it. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of School Board of Martin County, Florida, to be affixed this 16th day of September of the year 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. And now that it's official, we have something for the dais up there. We've got some patriotic socks. We hope to see this on your social media.
Sure.
Mr. George, you can wear this during your presentation tomorrow. I do want to say that these didn't come from Temu, they came from Amazon, but we're not real sure about the quality. But if you love them and they're comfortable and you think they're great and they're long-lasting, please thank the Martin County Bar Association and Lauren Esposito.
Thank
If they
you.
fall apart and give you a rash, they're gifts from Derek Lowe.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Who doesn't love patriotic socks? Thank you. Thank you. It's like a ball game. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming. We will now have our information-only reports, starting with our student rep, Delaney Miller. Oh, I apologize. Come up for a picture. Yes, we'll hold our socks. That was Jen's idea. Okay, Delaney, you're on.
Great, thank you so much. So these are our September school board notes, starting off with Martin County High School. It is homecoming week at MCHS. Our sophomore class has been hard at work preparing our Coast to Coast dance, while our clubs and classes have been diligently planning and building floats for our parade on Thursday, September 18th in downtown Stewart. The parade will begin at 6 p.m. and we can't wait to see you there. Our amazing parade will be followed by our homecoming pep rally on September 19th, recognizing our final 8 homecoming candidates, and one of them, which is me. Woo.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And celebrating our school spirit. Our homecoming game will take place on Friday, September 19th at 7 p.m. There will be a pre-game celebration beginning at 5 p.m. to recognize our homecoming candidates and as they are escorted across the field by friends and family. Go Tigers! The Spanish Honor Society is preparing to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month from October 6th through October 10th. MCHS will have special spirit days, music, and a special assembly to celebrate the incredible culture at our school. The National Honor Society of MCHS is proud to announce that over 160 new sophomore members will be inducted into the organization in the evening of October 14th, 2025. Both Martin County High School and South Fork High School have recently opened closets on campus so that students can donate and purchase clothes at a low price. Each campus closet also provides hygiene kits that include items such as toothpaste and deodorant. Next, we have Jensen Beach High School. The Jensen Beach High School Key Club recently completed 2 service projects. First, they made dog toys and collected supplies for the Treasure Coast Humane Society. Second, they held a book drive to support the little library they installed at the Gertrude Walden Children's Center. JBHS has recently created a chapter of the National Social Studies Honor Society, also known as Rho Kappa. They have already participated in a community waterway cleanup and are planning to participate in the upcoming History Fair. The AFJROTC students will be celebrating the Air Force's birthday on September 18th. They are also serving breakfast at the Young Eagle Fly-In on October 11th and participating in the Bryan Mast Congressional Competition on October 18th. Both the JV and varsity Falcon football teams are currently undefeated, as are the girls and boys bowling teams. On Friday, the Jensen Beach High School student government leaders and band will be heading to Felix A. Williams to start their Friday with a big warm hello from their Falcon family to end the start with Hello Week. Now we have South Fork High School. South Fork's girls bowling team is 6-2 for the first time in recent memory. In addition, the boys team is 5-3, which is their best start in recent memory. Sophomore boys bowler Jet Belodu, I think that's how you pronounce it, currently has a 208 average in high school play, currently second highest in the district. Spanish Honor Society for South Fork High School members are actively hosting their annual fundraiser for college books for seniors that have been servicing our community for the past 3 years through our organization. They have already hosted 5 weekends of fundraising at Publix and have a few more to go. In addition, they are preparing for homecoming, and we have 2 incredibly beautiful and brilliant representatives this year. Lastly, they will have donated tons of clothes to the Bulldogs closet. Thank you.
Thank you, Delaney. We will now have the district update. Derek Lowe.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Maine, members of the board. My name is Derek Lowe. I'm the Coordinator of Public Information and Community Relations for the Martin County School District. It's my pleasure to bring you the second now, district update for our Martin County School District. Bear with me for 1 second. So this month, we are super excited to recognize 2 of our South Fork High School Bulldog seniors, Varun Singh and Sonia Ullman, who have been named semifinalists in the 2026 National Merit Scholarship Program. This program is one of the nation's most prestigious academic competitions each year. Fewer than 1% of students advance to the semifinalist stage, making this achievement truly exceptional. We are incredibly proud of Varun and Sonia for representing not only South Fork High School, but the Martin County School District as well as our semifinalists from all 3 of our high schools. They were the only 2 qualifying students in our district. We look forward to following their journey as finalists are announced in the spring of 2026. We're also proud to share that several of our schools have been recognized with the Florida Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, or PBIS, Model School Award for the 2024-2025 school year. This honor celebrates schools that go above and beyond in creating safe and supportive environments where positive behavior is both encouraged and student success is prioritized. Earning the Gold Award this year was Palm City Elementary. The Silver Award went to Bessie Creek, Citrus Grove, Crystal Lake, and Jensen Beach Elementary, and the Bronze Award was presented to Pinewood Elementary, Port Salerno Elementary, Spectrum Academy, Stewart Middle, and Warfield. These awards reflect the dedication of our teachers, staff, students, and families who are working together to build strong school cultures. We're incredibly proud of these schools for setting such a strong and positive example. Episode 10 of the All in Martin podcast is now available on all of the district's streaming platforms. This month's episode features staff from our academics department discussing what we call Building Thinking Classrooms. Building Thinking Classrooms is an innovative instructional method that focuses on student-led teamwork and collaborative thinking. And during this month's episode, you'll not only hear about the teaching method, but they do a little witness demonstration on how exactly the teaching method works. So that's fun to watch. The All in Martin podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, and also on the district website, martinschools.org. That concludes this month's district updates. Until next month, you can find us wherever you scroll on the social media platforms I just mentioned, as well as Facebook and X and Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you, Derek. Superintendent update. Michael Maine.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Before I begin, we have a couple birthdays today in the district. Principal Susie Deutsch at the Pinewood Elementary is celebrating her birthday, so we wish Principal Deutsch a very happy birthday. And Mr. Jeff Raymond, who asked for this evening off to have dinner with his family, is celebrating a birthday as well. And I told him if he was taking off, we'd embarrass him. So any other birthdays in the house this evening that I missed? All right, so we wish both of them a wonderful birthday. Excellence begins in pre-K. The Florida Department of Education recently released our 24-25 voluntary pre-kindergarten education program designations, and I'm proud to share that every single Martin County school district pre-K site met or exceeded state expectations. This is especially significant because it's the first year providers are being evaluated under a new accountability system that features instructional quality, student achievement, and learning gains. Out of our 15 pre-K sites, 5 earned an excellent designation, 5 were rated above expectations, and the remaining 5 were recognized as meets expectations. Not a single one of our schools received a probationary or corrective designation, and this this recognition is a testament to the dedication of all of our pre-K teachers and staff who are committed to giving our youngest learners a strong foundation of success. We are going to continue our strides forward, and I've already spoken to Principal Gilbride, who has told me that we will not stop until every single one of our pre-K is identified as an excellent designation. Last week, hundreds of our students, school leaders, and community members joined together in the second annual 9/11 Memorial Bridge Walk to honor the lives of those lost on September 11, 2001. The event, hosted by the Martin County Fire Rescue, the Sheriff's Office, and the Police Athletic League, brought together first responders, veterans, and families, and participants of all ages for a moving day of remembrance. Our students walked alongside local heroes in tribute to those who lost their lives and the families forever impacted. We are proud of the way our school community came together to honor this important day in our nation's history. We will never forget, and we are already looking forward to next year's event. It was truly moving to see the number of students that came out from our local middle schools and high schools, as well as elementary students with their families on this day. And I want to thank the board for allowing that partnership to happen and for allowing our students to receive a half-day excused absence if they brought the band back and participated, the band around their wrist, and participated with their families. So thank you for that. And last but certainly not least, this month, in fact, just a couple last week, had the privilege of hosting our inaugural State of the District breakfast, and I'm proud to say that it was a huge success. Some of you are in the audience this evening. We welcomed more than 100 attendees, including school board members, principals, county commissioners, city council members, judges, and many of our valued business partners in the community. The breakfast gave us an opportunity to share updates about the progress that we are making as a district, and just as importantly, to highlight the many ways our community can partner with us as a district to help move our agenda and mission forward. I want to thank the Education Foundation of Martin County for sponsoring the event, as well as New Hope Fellow Christian Church in Palm City for hosting the event. This was the first of what I hope will be many to come, and we will be expanding and inviting more businesses and local community members next school year, and we hope to be able to do this in January, where we are able to bring in some data expectations of where we are currently as a district and how we are leveraging that data to make good, strong instructional changes here in the Martin County School District. So thank you for everybody that was able to attend. Madam Chair, at this time, this concludes my update.
Thank you, Superintendent Mean. Okay, are there any other reports that any board members would like to hear from our different areas? Okay, seeing none, it's now board information share time. Anyone have anything to share? Tough crowd here today. Okay. So, okay, we'll go on to our action items. Actually, so public comment is at 5. We can move it up, or we can wait till 5 o'clock and I'll go through the action items. I think we might have time to go through the action items first. So we're not skipping public comment, we're just gonna wait till the time certain, 5 o'clock. So we have 1801, may I have a motion? We don't have school board travel. Requisitions to be approved for purchase orders over 100,000, 18.02. May I have a motion to accept?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I have the implementation of the critical shortage supplements for ESA teachers and educational paraprofessionals. May I have a motion to accept 18.03?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We have 18.04, Napoli naming rights agreement. May I have a motion to approve? Ms. Roberts?
I believe we need to.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, they are. Mr. Cowles, would you like to come up to the podium in case we have any questions for you? We have to select something.
I can provide some context before
Sure,
we get to
please
that
do.
part. I think it'll be helpful for our community. Just a little bit of context for everybody. Little history. I was the athletic director at Martin County High School for 10 years. And early in my tenure there, I had obviously seen a lot of the pro stadiums, college stadiums going through this, but also in attending conferences, seeing that it was starting to get into the high school somewhat. And previous district leadership, we'd had a little bit of conversation, just very initial, and there was a concern about moving forward with it because of equity and how that would be across the district. So really, we never pursued it any further after that. So over the past year or so, when I learned that we were pursuing this as a district, it actually excited me quite a bit because I think it's a great idea overall. And then, looking at certain things, when it comes to equity, I never gave it a thought as the, athletic director at one school, but now in this position started thinking about it and some of the concerns from the school sites and the community. We were actually, tasked to put together a plan, and I think you have that plan in front of you, and it provides several options. We put together a plan. We got feedback from our athletic directors, and also just about a week and a half ago met with the Martin County Parent Teachers Association and got feedback from them, and they were actually very excited about the options that were there because they didn't realize that this partnership would benefit our entire district. Before we go too far, though, in attendance today is Brian Satowski. I do want to thank him for all his work he's done with Tebow Associates. He's the one that went out and got the valuation on all of our facilities and secured the deal with Dr. Napoli. Dr. Napoli, unfortunately, couldn't be here today. He's a longtime supporter of Martin County School Districts. You see his banners all over the place. So he was really excited about being a partner in this, in the naming rights thing. He's probably putting together some more braces on so he can pay for it. So he couldn't join us. So again, we put together the plan, and I think you have that plan in front of there, and it offers several options. And, just for transparency's sake, one of the options is 0% being retained by the district. There's another option that's 10%, 20%, 30%. But I think the exciting part for the school sites and the Parent Teachers Association was that option, regardless of the options, that every single school site benefits from a naming rights. It's not just going to go, in this case, to Martin County High School. Martin County High School would retain the biggest percentage. And I think if we look at option A, that was 30%, if I'm correct. I don't have it here in front of me. I apologize. And then 20% would go to the other two schools. They would split that. So South Fork and Jensen Beach would also benefit from this deal. Then we broke it down to, I think, about 25% for the middle schools. So that's roughly 5% for them. And then all 12 of the elementary school sites would split. I think the remaining 25%, which is just a little over 2%. So if you look at option A, the lowest amount that a school site would get would be just under $1,000. So every elementary school site would benefit from the naming rights at Martin County High School. The middle schools, if we do the math a little bit, was right around, I think, about 3,000 or so. Both school sites, the high school sites that weren't in ownership, so to speak, of the facility, if you're looking at 10%, would be just under 5,000, and Martin County would retain the most. So the most attractive option, again, for our PTA and our school sites would be option A, but also understanding and meeting with the PTA, we said, you almost have to think about it like a homeowners association. I know that's sometimes a negative connotation, but there will be times when a facility is the naming rights are sold, and there's projects that take place that, to benefit our athletics, and the board may choose to retain a certain percentage to set that aside in like a reserve account. Living in an HOA now and just had our entire complex, pressure cleaned and painted, I know I've been paying the whole time for it, but I didn't have to come up with some sort of special assessment, which kind of felt nice. So we do understand that although the preference for this would be the 100% going to the school sites, that there will be times in the future that may change. So, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Kalzer, I don't know if the gentleman from Tebow and Associates might want to answer this, but when this was brought up in April, we were estimating around $140,000 for the naming rights, and this number looks like it's at $60,000. Is there any reason for the sharp decline?
Yeah, I can let Brian speak on that, but it really was looking at a comparative, other high school sites that have sold, other districts that have sold, almost when we're using data to compare ourselves with other districts educationally, the kind of the going rate around similar districts and similar sites with the type of visibility that came in at a value that seemed to be fair.
Is that a similar deal to what we were looking at the 140,000, or is it less things that they get for that?
By less things.
Basically, when we were looking at the 140,000, is there less since it's only going for 60, or only because there was quite an outcry from the community when we were going through this, and now that it's a much lower price, it certainly speaks to, is it worth it to go through this and continue even at a lower price versus, because I'd say I had a lot of people reach out about this, that they were not in favor of this.
And I think after meeting with the PTA and then them seeing that it was going to benefit all of our school sites, I think that was a big concern as well. Obviously, we started aiming very high at what we thought we could get, and then just, it's a supply and demand thing. If you don't have the offers out there, you start to lower your price. It's kind of like a home sale. I wish I could sell my home for $1 million. It's probably not going to go for that. And if I don't have any offers, then I got to go. My home's nowhere near $1 million. I just want to put that out there, by the way. We would go less until we get to a point where we thought it was fair.
So the valuations that were given to us, I believe those valuations were looking more at a corporation or a large, not necessarily local group. So maybe you could speak to that. Because I think, is that true that yeah, we didn't go outside our local community, that the valuations were less?
I think that's a fair statement. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
That's a fair statement? Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ms. Russell, Ms. Powers? Go ahead, Ms. Russell. I called you first.
Well, thank you. As far as the options, I like option B. That's my favorite. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I feel like that's a fair deal for everyone involved.
Ms. Powers?
Well, I am, I'm sorry, I'm not talking into the microphone. The superintendent's recommendation is option.
Our recommendation, my recommendation with staff is option A.
Okay.
So that all schools receive, knowing that every time we get a naming rights situation, we will come back to the board. So to Mr. Cowell's point, not every recommendation may be to go 100% to the schools. There may be times where, to his point, there's a project that needs to be completed at said high school or middle school or wherever we're doing the naming rights, and we may need to offer to you to keep a higher percentage back as a district to put towards that project. But in this naming rights situation with Napoli, I am recommending 100% go back to the schools.
So nothing to the general fund.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can support that.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
And I agree with Ms. Russell that I think the 10% coming back to the district is a fair number. They all are still all the schools still are getting something, but.
So I need a motion to adopt option A. If there's no more discussion, I need a motion to accept one of these options as.
I'll make a motion to approve this item using option B.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries for option B. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Dun, 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 dun. 26 legislative session. Martin County, I think the time has passed to put in your requests. If you have done that, thank you for doing so. I'm not sure what else to talk about there, other than it's going to start underway, and we'll be getting that platform back with the recommendations from everyone's input. 18.06, the superintendent contract. Any discussion regarding? I'm sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So this is an action item. Is this a discussion on what our legislative platform is going to be for, because I know the legislative delegation meetings are coming up.
Okay.
What's the date? I have it on
It's
my
on there.
calendar
It's on
somewhere.
October 21st.
Okay.
Okay. My bad.
So, Madam Chair, in the past, you all have discussed who would attend with
okay.
me and speak either on behalf of the board or next to me
Okay.
in front of the local delegation, so that we're represented as a school district.
Okay. And that's in October?
October 21st.
Okay. I can go with you unless someone else wants to.
I think
I'm
it's
happy to-
appropriate that the board chair goes.
Okay, all right. So we need a motion to accept this 18.05?
Well, do we know what is going to be presented on behalf of the school board? I think that's the big question, is what we want to,
Okay.
as a board, say to our delegation.
Okay. So, do we have anybody who wants to give me some?
So my feeling is that we don't necessarily have an ask this year, unless there's anything left over from last year, that maybe this should just be an opportunity to present to the delegation that we're thankful for their support of public education and for their help. Thank them specifically for the Murray Middle School funding, and maybe give them a couple of highlights of where we are as a district, and remind them that we're there if they have any questions, unless somebody has anything specific. Is there anything?
Ms. Powers, do you have something specific
Well,
you'd
I-
like us to bring?
I would like to continue the discussion about graduation requirements and concurrent scores using, PERT and other, so that students that are meeting every other outcome except one test have additional options.
Okay,
I think we have been talking about it for multiple years, and we've gotten baby step improvements over the last couple years. And I know that the education committees and legislators that serve on that are still talking about that. So I do think that we should bring that one back
Okay.
again as a priority.
okay.
But I think that maybe you should have a conversation with Mr. Black and see
Okay,
what the appetite is. I know money is going to be very tight this year, so I think a money ask is probably, unless we have something very specific that we need. But maybe we can, if you talk to him, maybe we can bring back in the interim,
okay,
school board members, if they have other issues that you would like to see, or even policy issues that we'd like to see changed, we could bring that back to the
I'll
workshop.
bring it to the workshop in October.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can decide what it looks like.
All right. Ms. Russell, did you have anything? No? All right. So I need a motion to approve 18.05 with the added, the grad requirements, concurrent scores for some additional options, and to bring back to the October workshop after speaking to Greg Black.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Powers, a second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We're getting toward that 5 o'clock. I think I'm going to take a pause and take our public comments, and then we'll come back to the rest of the meeting. Okay. Citizen input is vital to the improvement of our district. Most times, your remarks may be listened to without comment from the board members or superintendent. This does not mean they are heard with any less intensity or concern. Where appropriate, the superintendent and staff will investigate your comments and report back to you and the board with an answer. We thank you for taking the time and having the concern to make our district better. Your presentation to the board should not exceed 3 minutes. Letters or statements from others not present can be given to our clerk, who will be sure that each school board member and the superintendent receive a copy. To keep our records straight and authentic, our policy does not permit you to read the statements of others into the record. I have 3 forms here. I'm going to call Mr. John Jocham. I hope I said that correctly, sir.
You were close. My name is John Jocham.
Jocham.
I'm a native of Stuart, Florida. I've been published as a teenager. I've been quoted by Yahoo Finance. I've been in USA Today. I happen to be a 4-time best-selling author. I also taught college. Today, I'm going to give an alternative way of saying that Charlie Kirk was assassinated compared to your teacher, give my opinion on what should happen with the teacher's behavior and the consequences, quote a few people, and give a course of action. You could have said about Charlie Kirk's death, heaven is celebrating the entrance of a new soul, but your teachers did not do that. You could have said that Charlie Kirk got promoted and is with God or Jesus. That didn't happen. During COVID, people coming here would say, educate and do not indoctrinate. Well, those teachers might still be indoctrinating. As a school district, you have a code of conduct and standards. Florida is an at-will state with employment. It means you can terminate an employee at will. That would be Plan A. Martin Van Buren, the president, says it's easier to do the job right than to explain why you didn't. Thomas Jefferson said, whatever you do a thing, act as though everybody else is watching you. You have a choice on what to do on this one. And I think you should terminate the employment. That would be Plan A. Plan B is a different one. Your teacher could resign. Jack Canfield once said, success has multiple principles. Number 1 is you must be 100% accountable for your actions. Resigning would be 100% accountable. So that would be Plan B. Plan C is you don't do anything, teachers don't resign, and your governor actually takes action and terminates the employment. Your citizens and voters are watching you and the governor's actions. What is your non-negotiable? That's what you're going to get down to, because it's an at-will state. Take action. This is why you were voted into office. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Our next public comment is Kathy Ahern.
Mr. Superintendent and school board members, thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts. I'm Kathy Ahern. I'm a retiree who spent 28 years with this district teaching VPK, kindergarten, and first grade. Recently, I subbed in kindergartens in Martin County and have spoken to some other kindergarten teachers in our district. I'm here to speak in support of giving our young students a developmentally appropriate education. In Martin County, the Early Learning Coalition is doing a fabulous job coaching preschool teachers to use developmentally appropriate practices. However, when these children come into our kindergarten classrooms, that door seems to shut. The first weeks of kindergarten are so important in setting the tone for the year. Martin County teachers are trying to concentrate on building a welcoming community, working on social emotional skills, and using play, stories, music, and art to engage their students and create a lifelong love of learning. But much of the time for this is being robbed by testing. There are often tears of frustration from teachers and students. In the first 25 days of school, Our kindergartners have been administered 10 assessments. The IXL ELA diagnostic, IXL math diagnostic, FAST ELA, FAST math, 2 UFly assessments, IXL ELA benchmark, IXL math benchmark, Dibbles assessment, and Savvis topic assessment for math. All but the Dibbles and UFly are computer-based. The IXL diagnostic assessments were given on the 3rd and 4th days of school on computers that many students do not know how to navigate. Signing in requires looking back and forth at a stream of numbers and finding them on a keyboard, using an @ symbol, using a period, using a mix of capital, lowercase letters, and numbers. It took 3 adults to help administer the assessment to each class, even when adults were signing the students in. This amount of testing is not developmentally appropriate. I understand that some assessment is necessary and can give valuable information, but is this data overload? Could the computer-based testing be put off until students have learned to use the computers? Are Dibbles, IXL, and FAST all necessary to assess language arts? Are IXL, FAST, and Savvis all necessary to assess math? Could one of each suffice? Thank you for considering and listening.
Thank you. Our next public speaker, Lisa Miller.
Good afternoon. I'm also here to voice my support to the board and the district as they hold hearings and bring possible discipline measures for the teachers on their recent public social media posts regarding assassination of political activist Charlie Kirk. As Americans, we all have the freedom of speech, but as I've been told over and over again, freedom of speech does not have freedom from consequences. A teacher in this district made disparaging comments about Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA organization on a public page, Palm City Locals. This teacher admitted to never having heard of Charlie Kirk before his assassination, but somehow formed an opinion about him within less than 24 hours. That opinion was Turning Point USA was, and I quote, the equivalent of a modern-day Hitler Youth organization. Charlie Kirk has thousands of hours of content spread out over many platforms, podcasts, campus events, and debates spanning over 10 years. As an educator, he could not possibly have formed an opinion in so short a time and was only regurgitating untrue views expressed most likely on social media or cherry-picking out-of-context quotes. I would think a teacher would take the time to educate himself on the facts. Any parent who has a student in this amazing organization that seeks only to advance American exceptionalism and conservative values should be concerned. Lies are what caused the assassination of Charlie. If I had a student in the local TPS USA chapter at Martin County High School, I would be extremely worried about what kind of violence that teacher's erroneous comments on a public page might cause to those students or the school itself. Above all, we must seek the truth. I support the board in its search for truth with a due process hearing for that teacher and hopefully a verdict that finds his firing. I leave you with this final thought. Every teacher celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination is glorifying a school shooter. Let that sink in.
Thank you. Our final speaker, and if you want to speak, please put a form together now. Daniel Colliday, did I say that correctly?
Thank you. It's Daniel Kolodny, and I'm with the Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Program and IRL Council, and I'm here to support for option or item 1810. I just want to thank the board for considering this agreement. I think this has great opportunity for students within the district, and I'd like to offer that should the board so choose to ratify and make this agreement, that we would provide support to any teacher who is interested in learning, any student, about the equipment at the station, how its operation is, what kind of the data is collected, and how it's used for making changes in resource management. We would facilitate that. So I'll be here today, and if you have any questions about that, when that agenda item comes up, I'd be happy to answer them. And again, I'd also like to thank your staff, specifically Mr. Seacrest and Mr. Walton, for helping facilitate this agreement, and we look forward to a prosperous partnership, should you so choose to take that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. With that, we're going to move on to the superintendent contract, 18.06. Does anyone have any comments they'd like to make? Ms. Powers?
I move approval of 18.06.
I have a motion by Ms. Powers, a second by Ms. Roberts. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're going to now go over the committee appointment requirements. There, you have a chart on this. And I'm taking any discussion that anyone would like to have about this. It's kind of spelled out. I hope everyone took a look at it. Do I have any comments regarding this committee appointment requirements?
So when you say that these requirements, are we talking about how we want to change the appointment process? Are we just looking at
Well,
how
it's,
they're based, or?
it's probably a combination, because we discussed possibly not keeping all of these committees. And the appointments are also, as you stated in earlier meetings and we discussed, we would go to a voting process if we had more than one person who was interested in one of those committee appointments. So I think we, if I'm not mistaken, we were unanimous in that moving forward, when those committee appointments came forward, we would go to a voting system in that case where we had more than one. But we're also looking at them individually and determining which ones we want to keep and which ones, well, let me say it a different way. Some we must keep by statute, but there are some that maybe are not required, and those we can discuss. And there's definitions, and I believe the definitions are the ones that we, it looks like at the top, we have Children's Services Council. That is by statute. Clark Management Board, I believe, is also a statute. Council.
It's a bylaws.
It's a
part of their,
bylaws?
yeah,
Okay.
contract.
The District Advisory Council was one that we were talking about, that for the rest of this year, we would continue, but that we could decide as a board, do we want to possibly not continue with it moving forward and going to another model? That was my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So are you saying like some of these, like for example, like Boundary Advisory Committee, that would more likely
needed.
become an ad hoc committee? So
Correct.
that if it comes up that we are going to change our boundaries, if the board wanted to assign one board member, or we would act as a whole as the boundary? Okay.
Yes. And then, you know, moving down the line here, we have Indian Town High School, the Insurance Committee. I think we all, again, I want to be corrected if I'm not correct here, we determined that the Insurance Committee is probably a good idea to keep, because the options are always changing, and the landscape of the insurance as a whole is changing, like it's already changed again. So I think we said we would keep that.
And I think it might be in one of the union contracts, AFSCME maybe? Insurance? I feel like it was, is it in both?
Yeah. And then we have the Ocean Breeze Planning and Zoning Board and the School Health Advisory Council, the Treasure Coast Council of Local Governments, and the Value Adjustment Board.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I just,
Please.
just a suggestion? For staff, can we go through these one at a time, starting from the top, so that we know which one you are opting to keep, which ones you're opting to not keep? And
Yes.
then you will also, you had discussion at a workshop, so while there was discussion, we don't vote at a workshop, so you'll need to take a vote tonight with a motion to determine whether you will change the format in which you select representatives for the committees.
Okay.
So I just,
And I would like to talk about like term limits too. Like, I think that we should probably limit so that they're rotating, people have the opportunity to participate in different committees so that one board member isn't always on the same committee or the same thing. So
Do you have a number in your head? 2 years?
I was thinking like 2 years.
2
I think
years?
that's
2
fair
years.
because a 4-year term, you would have the option of rotating out of that and
Right. And considering there's board term limits now, 8 years being the most that anyone can serve on the board, it would give the board members an opportunity to sample the different committees while they are in service. So does anyone want to offer another option of 2 years or something else?
2 years is good here.
Okay.
The ones that are under policy, so there's 4 that it says board policy. If we were to rescind those committees, we just have to rescind the policy? Is that how we go about
Correct.
doing it?
That's exactly correct.
Okay, so, I mean, it looks like those 4 is what we've discussed going away, the 4 that are under board policy, the boundary advisory, the district advisory, the school calendar, and the strategic plan.
So what we did with the boundary is we would have to change the policy to make it an ad hoc committee as opposed to a standing committee. The boundary committee could come into effect should the landscape change in the county, and we would have to. So this kind of puts a placeholder for it. I think the District Advisory Council, we would rescind that policy, but resurrect it as another form. I believe that's what we said. And then the School Calendar Committee, I believe that was the one that we all kind of felt could go away. And the strategic plan is something we would all participate in. Am I right in how I categorized each of those?
well, I think that like the boundary, I think we have a policy already on starting ad hoc committees. Like, so I think that that would be covered. I don't think we would necessarily have to identify the boundary committee, right?
Well, but policy 7100 would have to be rescinded, wouldn't it?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and then the ad hoc policy would take over.
Yes.
Did you want to say something, Ms. Felsen?
I did. I was just going to say, with voting, do we need to vote for each one of these individually? Go down, or we start with the boundary advisory, say what we're going to do with it, and then vote on that, or are we going to
We
speak to
could
all of
certainly
it?
do that. I just wanted to get kind of like the discussion piece out of the way, but Superintendent Maine did ask that I try to do each one individually. But Dr. Moore already brought up, 4 of those policies are actually not even, it seemed like the discussion already took place and we were just determining kind of the last minute things that we needed to do.
So maybe we should take them one by one and
Okay.
just say we're keeping it or we're not keeping it, or
Okay.
it's.
So we'll start with the Boundary Advisory Committee. Can I have a motion to rescind the Boundary Advisory Policy in favor of going to the ad hoc policy? Don't
Madam-
have to?
So let's just decide and then we'll make a motion to update.
To do them
based
all-
on the
all at
discussion.
once?
Yeah. yeah.
Okay. So,
you're just directing staff, so we're taking notes, we know what you want to do, and then you can do one motion.
okay.
So I would say that we, if there's consensus, that we rescind policy 7100.
Okay.
And what's the procedure? Do we have to have several readings for that, to rescind? Okay, so this is just the beginning of
That's just the beginning of that.
the
Okay.
advertisement, or?
We can't do
Okay.
it tonight. We have to go
Yeah, it
through
starts
the
the
paces.
3-month
Okay.
process.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm good with rescind there.
All right. And I'm, just so you know, I'm just going to go down the board policy ones first and go to the bylaw charter one second.
So, Madam Chair,
Am I confusing everyone?
we're working through this
hand.
together. We got this. All right. So you'll notice that down on the bottom, your policies were there. So we anticipated ahead of time for you to either rescind a policy or to have a new policy with language. So those policies are attached. They're there.
Okay.
So the Boundary Advisory Committee would not go away. You're just taking language out.
Okay.
That is requiring us to have a Boundary Advisory Committee.
Okay.
The new language would become Neola language, which gives the board the flexibility to call upon a Boundary Advisory Committee should you choose.
Okay.
Why do we need a policy specific to boundary advisory if we have the authority to create an ad hoc committee? Do we know?
You can speak.
Policy is
It's in a
facilities
facilities planning policy.
It has the committee language in there
Needs to
that
be
we
removed.
put in there.
Oh, okay.
So down below, under first review, is policy 7100. It pulls the committee language out of that policy. It's taking that language out.
Yeah.
And it becomes the facilities planning.
Okay, so it's no longer, we will no longer have a boundary advisory committee policy. It will
In the
now be the
facility,
new.
correct.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay.
All right, here we
So
go.
we're not rescinding the policy. Got
We're
it.
not rescinding.
Just
Okay.
updating it.
So now I go to District Advisory Council.
Children's Services Council?
Oh, you were going, so I was, all right, I'm going that way. Children's Services Council,
We have to keep that one.
yep.
And they're, I guess, are we going to stick to the same, I guess the next question is, are we sticking to the same timeline of appointing committees for board members? So it would be in December?
In December, after the reorg,
Yes, okay,
and the new chair gets everyone's desires.
yeah, okay.
Clark Management Board,
I think that one has to stay.
yep. Council for the Arts. Gotta stay.
Is that their bylaws or ours?
Their bylaws.
Okay.
Can be a designee.
Oh, so we can send, if a community member wanted to represent, or we wanted to appoint someone, so that's not necessarily, doesn't have to be a board
board.
member.
Okay, all right. Ms. Roberts, did you want to say something? Okay,
Did.
okay. Code of Student Conduct. That's a past practice. It's neither a policy or a bylaw. Anyone?
Rescind?
Well, it's not in our policy, so.
Not our policy.
You just tell us we have been asking you to provide us a name based on past practice for someone you would like to serve or a board member to serve on the Student Code of Conduct. So you will either continue to have a board member serve on the Student Code of Conduct, or we will not put a Student Code of Conduct committee together. Staff will bring the Student Code of Conduct forward to you with recommendations for approval.
That's fine. Will it be like not a policy, a procedure? Will there be something, that the process that they go through will be a procedure?
Yes, we can create a procedure on that and then bring the Student Code of Conduct forward with our recommendations for your approval or changes or tweaks.
Because usually there's input from the principals and the school site administrators to make
Which
any
we would
changes.
continue to do.
Okay.
So where are we landing with this?
So that one's
Gone?
going to be a procedure internally
okay.
excluding the board, I think.
Okay,
So it'll be the
brought
superintendent.
to
letter.
us for input. Okay, all right. District Advisory Council. I
Which I
think we
believe-
kind of talked about that.
Well, down below for the first review, you've got 19.01, which is the new one, and then you've got 19.02.
Yep, that's a
rescinded.
rescind. Okay, good. Education Foundation.
I think it's good to keep having someone on there.
Okay,
I mean, it's important to have a liaison. I mean, I've been able to be on there for the last couple of years, and I've really enjoyed it, and I've also seen the importance of having kind of an in-between.
Okay.
You know, sometimes at the meeting, there's things that can be voiced that they may not be aware of, and then vice versa.
okay. Any other comments regarding Education Foundation?
Good with that.
Okay, so that will continue. FSBA Advocacy, Rep and Alternate, it's requested. It isn't a policy or a bylaw.
I think we should keep it, and I think we do that in June.
Okay, yes. Okay. Everyone good with that? Okay. Head Start Policy Board is statutory, so we're not touching that one. Indian Town High School, that's a bylaw charter, so I believe that is staying. The Insurance Committee is a past practice. Do we want to keep the Insurance Committee?
I would think so, yes.
All right. School Calendar Committee, that's policy 8210.
Is that a part of policy 8210, Superintendent?
It is. So
Okay,
it
so
has
we'd have to
been-
update that to remove that. It would be my recommendation.
Okay, is that our, we're gonna, okay. The School Health Advisory Committee,
Statutory.
okay. Strategic Plan, I think we have a policy. Does the policy need to be updated or just stay as is?
Currently have it as 19.05 for.
Okay, rescinded, okay. A Town of Ocean Breeze requested.
This is a new one. I don't think we've had somebody from the town of Ocean Breeze, always.
I think Mrs.
How long have you been
Roberts-
doing it?
I believe that it was requested because of the proximity to the Environmental Study Center and that relationship piece there.
I know, but I don't recall it ever being one. Is it recently requested then? Which I'm fine with it.
It was requested, I don't know, 2021 maybe or something. I mean, it was a while back when they made that request.
Who's been sitting on it?
Lee.
I have.
Okay.
Oh, January 21, 2021.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine keeping it.
Okay. Everyone else okay with that? Treasure Coast Council of Local Governments is requested.
We have a membership with the Treasure Coast Council of Local Governments. It includes Indian River, Martin, St. Lucie, and Okeechobee counties. So it's not just school board members, it's also county commissioners, city commissioners, all kind of come together. It's very broad group. I think it's worthwhile to participate. The meetings are once a month in St. Lucie County. So it's centrally located for everyone.
All right.
I think it's
so
worthwhile.
3? All right, we're keeping that. The Value Adjustment Board, statutory. So I think that's all of them. You good? All right. So
So I make a motion that we move forward with the changes that were discussed and that we had consensus for those, and that we move forward.
Second.
I have a motion. 2 year, oh, with a
With the
two-year
two-year
term.
term limit.
Unless,
Yes.
okay, there's that, if someone doesn't want it for the 3rd year and the person who was serving wants to stay, they can do so.
Or if they only want to serve for 1 year and move
Correct,
on to
and
another
then-
committee, then they can.
Okay, all right. So I have a motion by Ms. Powers, a second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Madam Chair?
Oh.
And then the only other thing was, we talked about, the superintendent mentioned about voting if there was any conflict, but that was at a workshop, so we have to add that in as well, correct?
I think that was, so, yes, if only one person wants it, there isn't an issue. But if two people want it, a vote will take place among the entire board.
Correct.
So that's part of, that was
Right.
part of
Yes,
the motion.
that was part of the,
Okay.
yes.
Good.
So I have a motion by Ms. Powers, a second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. All right. We are now up to Crystal Lake Elementary School, proposed K-8 addition discussion and master plan design services approval. Mr. Seacrest.
Okay, good afternoon, Madam Chair, school board members, and Superintendent Main. I'm here to give you some information. I was given the journey to investigate a K-8 addition to Crystal Lake Elementary School. Just to give you some highlights, this happened in a matter of weeks, so we've been progressing with DOE, and I've been discussing with Superintendent Main and Dr. Miller on various parts of this information, but in my discussions with DOE, we are currently looking at adding grades 6 through 8 to Crystal Lake. That would be 288 students, 12 classrooms total, 4 classrooms per grade. What that consists of in a timeline at a 55,000-foot level is we'd have to renovate currently some existing 5th grade classrooms because we currently have capacity at the school for the 6th grade. I'll move down to the slide of the site, just so everybody knows what school we're talking about. It also involves future buildings in my discussions with DOE, and we would have to look at building a new gym. We may have to look at doing a cafeteria expansion, which would be on the kitchen side, because when we investigated the actual dining room, it appears that we'll have enough room in the actual dining room, but we may look at doing outside dining. We're also looking at the chiller plant because now we're adding buildings, so we're adding a classroom building and a possible new gym. And then all the support spaces for that actual middle school portion. So since we're adding the K-8 to an existing elementary school, there are some existing functions in that building that may overlap with the middle school, and there may be some functions that we have to actually add to the school to accommodate the middle school. So in discussing that with DOE, what we found out was, based on your funding source, depends on what the approval process is with DOE. And in discussing that several times over the past several weeks with DOE, what they told me is if we use local funds, which could be impact fees, or if we use millage fees, essentially it's a board decision and a superintendent's decision to add capacity to that school, even though we currently aren't reflecting our capacity need at that school. But the student stations can be added if we're using local funds only. And currently we do have, I've been working with Carter, we will be looking at using, my recommendation would be to use the impact fees we have been building over the past 10 years and using those fees to actually add the K-8 to that school. Other questions we had with DOE is like, where are the students drawn from? That originally started out with, where are we getting the students from? Eventually, when we ended up with the conversation with DOE, it's like, well, we're trying to retain students, because essentially once we get through elementary school, we seem to have a gap of students in the middle school range, and then they come back, then a portion of them come back. So our goal in talking with Superintendent Main is we want to retain as many as possible within our district, and that would probably be a choice scenario where we would have students within our district first, and then we would do an open choice for students outside, but that's all a board discussion. But we're just trying to decide where the students would come from to fill those grades, 6 through 8 and 288 students. Here again, the next phase is the phases to do this project. Let me see if I can get the slide to change. So currently what I'm looking for, since it's a action item, part of the discussion tonight would be moving forward with the actual K-8, addition to this school. And what that involves is a phase 2 where we actually do a master plan for that school to incorporate a K-8 on that existing campus. And that involves hiring a firm to actually plan out the site plan, where these buildings are going, and actually analyze the actual physical rooms in each of the buildings at Crystal Lake, and then determine what buildings we will need to add, how many classrooms, and then where that gym will actually be located. So part of that discussion tonight is providing direction on whether we're moving forward with the K-8, and then if we are, the next phase is actually approving design services through our continuing services contract with an architect to actually program that K-8 so that in January, we could move forward with the RFQ process in order to start that hiring of an architect and a CM at risk to plan out those buildings. And this is all based on the timeline that the board is comfortable with. The quickest right now we could have that done is by January, if you decide tonight to hire the master plan services, we would have that done somewhere late in January or in December, and then start that RFQ process in January. And then currently what we would do, working with maintenance, is we would work on those, after tonight, we'd work on those existing classrooms. There's 4 classrooms that we would renovate and get them ready for 6th grade. That would be a process so that we'd have them ready by March. And then once we start that process of recruiting students, they could actually see their spaces in those buildings, and they'd be renovated with new floors and new paint and the proper height furniture for a 6th grade level. So that would be the immediate need. And then once we move to August, we're going to start looking at exterior painting and then start planning for a parking lot addition if you decide to move the K-8 to Crystal Lake, because right now there's not enough parking with a middle school function at that site. That leads to phase 4. Like I said, we would be looking at somewhere around January to April, going through that RFQ process, bringing it back to the board, and that would be the RFQ for the architect and the CM at risk. So maybe somewhere between April and June, we would have that as a board document for approval. And then once that starts, we would actually start the design of that school. But in the meantime, at August 2026, we would move the 6th grade into some current classrooms that are available. On August 2027, we would start moving portables in so that we could accommodate the next grades, 7 and 8. And then during that time frame, it gives us enough time to actually design the school and then start that timeline of when the actual shovel's going into the ground, so that by year 3, we would have a new building ready. So that's the timeline I've set forward right now. One of the current challenges is basically getting that master plan in place so that we can actually understand what existing spaces we can use, what new spaces have to be designed, and then that will go into the RFQ process so that we can actually put some budget numbers to this. My global expectation right now is it's somewhere around a plus or minus $30 million project. But right now I don't have real numbers on new square footage that we have to add. So once we get that, that observation from the architect, then we can actually put numbers to square foot and come up with a ballpark budget of what this project will cost. So that's what we've been doing basically over the past several weeks. The documentations that follow in this were, you can see the questions we had with DOE, what went back and forth. But essentially this last slide, they reiterated that if we were using local funds, which is impact fees or millage, that it's the board's discretion and the superintendent's discretion to add student stations to that school. So right now I'm open for discussion. I have the architect here if you want to ask him any questions, because I have been working with Renee to start this conversation, because I knew it was a little more difficult trying to add a K-8 to an existing campus versus starting on a green site and building a total K-8 from the ground up. But he has done these type of schools in St. John's. He's working with Indian River right now, so he has that experience. But I'm open for any conversation, and then hopefully we can get some direction from the board.
So some of these questions are directed to you, and some of them, I guess, maybe the superintendent would be answering. So 288 students, which is about less than 100 per each grade level. So I'm wondering if anyone has looked at the migration of fifth graders, so the fifth graders that normally left. So for example, the children that were in fifth grade last year, where did they go? So that if they were staying there to go to sixth grade next year, that's going to impact some other school. So has anybody looked at that piece? And do we have that information that at some point we can share so that we know?
I'm just assuming, I had the same question, I'm assuming that the majority of them go to Anderson.
Correct.
Because
Right.
it's the closest middle school.
Right.
Or they go to a charter school.
Right, but I think we need some information. So I see Dr. Miller over there nodding her head, but I don't hear any sound. So I'm just wondering if we normally have 100 students, 100 fifth graders that are leaving, how many of those 100 are actually going to Anderson? Because then if we start next year with a sixth grade, they will not be going to Anderson.
Right.
So that affects what we have going on at Anderson. So I'm wondering if anybody has looked at that and what that looks like and how many of them have left us completely. Then one thing you said that concerned me, Mark, was you said something about that this would be handled through choice. I would have thought that the fifth graders would roll up into the sixth grade class,
That's the first option.
right? I mean, isn't that the goal, is to try to keep?
Yes. So Brenda, Principal Watkins is here. She has had some conversations with her school advisory council, as well as did some soft polling surveys of her fifth grade parents and fourth grade parents. There is significant interest in those students staying right there at Crystal Lake, that they would fill those sixth grade spots first. And if there were, for whatever reason, available seats at that time, we would open it up to anyone that wanted to attend that, to fill the remaining seats. But it would, in my mind, be those fifth graders automatically roll to sixth grade right there at Crystal Lake.
And then the following year, in August of '27, the sixth graders would roll to a seventh grade class.
Correct. And then eighth
the
grade.
existing fifth graders, who are now fourth graders, would be rolling into.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
And so when you said that in August of '27, we would be ready for seventh and eighth, we would really be ready for seventh grade in August of '27, and we would be planning for eighth grade in August of '28. Is that
Correct.
correct, Mark?
Correct.
I'm also interested in, I know that we've designated some impact fees at Martin County High School, I believe. So I don't know exactly what we have left in impact fees, and I don't know which of those are expiring. And that's probably something that have the time thing on it. So that's probably another piece that needs to be brought back at some point. I see that in our five-year capital budget, which is the next item on our agenda, we have line 79, which has to do with work at Crystal Lake Elementary. So I'm thinking that that work, it has to do with the work that needs to be done this year.
Correct.
Is that correct, Mr. Morrison, too, right? And so then I'm thinking that the additional, once this is decided, so this year's capital budget is okay as far as taking care of this and getting us ready so that by August, we would be ready to accept a sixth grade class. And then we would be moving on from there as to what it looks like in subsequent years using impact or what we're doing. Is that?
And I'm hoping by January of '26, we can have kind of those budgetary numbers of what that 6 through 8 addition looks like as far as numbers. Because by then we'll have the analysis done from the architect and the programming, and then that can actually be budgeted out so that you can have real numbers. Because right now it's still a little bit of a game run, just analyzing that whole site and what it's going to take to do that.
Right, because at this point, if you're telling me 288 students at 30 million, that's about 100,000 per student, a little bit over 100,000.
Right.
Okay, but yes, I'm in favor of this. I appreciate the master planning services. I believe that we have the budget in there for it, and I appreciate the superintendent's idea of rolling for the next 3 years.
Other comments?
So I think that I'm also in favor of the K-8 model. I think it's a good model, but I think it's kind of premature for us as a board to be looking at this conversion. I'd kind of like to know if it's easier to convert a K-5 or if it's easier to convert a middle school to a K-8. Because we have capacity at a lot of schools, like a lot. And I think I don't want to look at this in a silo because we have capacity elsewhere in the system. We've also talked about converting Indiantown Middle to a K-8 because of the growth that's happening there. We've also talked about, in the past, we talked about Anderson Middle School and some sort of conversion there. But we also have a lot of capacity at Seawind. We have a lot of capacity at Crystal Lake, Seawind, and what's the other one? Hope Sound. So I just think I don't think we want to look at this as just this one school right now. We need to talk about the whole system. And do we need to be building a $30 million, do we need to take on a $30 million construction project when we have capacity and how we're going to do, what we're going to do countywide?
And I'm not so much thinking of it as that, as the longer term, Mrs. Powers. I'm thinking that, as other districts have done, if you tack a sixth grade onto a K-5, that you at least have students that are normally leaving to go play soccer or do whatever else they do or become, go to a pod school or whatever it is, that you at least keep them for another year so that the instruction is more rigorous, et cetera. So that, and I'm thinking that this piece, preparing for a sixth grade class for next year, is based on what the principal is saying in the conversation. If those parents are interested in staying there, which is why the one piece I go back to is the migration as to how that affects Anderson Middle School. So if you had 100 kids leaving and only 50 of them were going to Anderson and 50 of them were going Lord knows where, that then at least you would be able to contain some more kids, but that's.
At a cost of $100,000 per child, and we have capacity in our system, that's a big lift.
Yes.
But I will say, ask, I want to understand what the ramifications are to adding a middle school grade to an elementary school. I mean, ask Indiantown Middle what it was like to have an elementary grade at a middle school. So it's the same, like what are the differences? What are we going to have to overcome for those things academically? But also, I mean, I just 100,000, that's a lot, especially when we have empty seats across our school district, that we're going to start building more buildings before we've really taken a real inventory of what we have. And maybe that boundary committee would be coming back up, but it feels like we're jumping the gun to spend that kind of money, again, when we have a lot of empty seats.
And I'm thinking that the 30 million isn't so much that we can add the 100 for sixth grade without touching that $30 million.
Correct.
I don't believe that the $30 million has to do with adding that, adding one grade. And I know that at the last FSBA conference I was at, there were several districts that were adding the sixth grade on just to keep the students one more year, knowing that they were leaving, knowing that they were coming back for high school. But that seemed to be a model to fill seats in an elementary school that seemed to have some value and was working in some ways.
If I could just add one piece to that, and we certainly can look at all of that for you and bring back additional information. I think the fear, not that a middle school model in adding fifth grade and then fourth grade and then third grade can't happen to eventually have a K-8, but there's a certain amount of anxiety in a parent's eyes in sending their fifth grader to a middle school campus that is a middle school campus originally, or then fourth grade to that campus, versus having an elementary environment in which that family atmosphere has already been created. Those students have been there most likely since kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and they're just rolling right up into a building that is familiar to them, and the students are immediately there to fill that grade level. If you had a middle school that you were converting, you'd have to find those fifth graders and where they're coming from. They're going to be coming from multiple different elementary schools, not just one school like they are at Crystal Lake. So it's just that's something to be thinking of. I think it's a larger impactor, but just throwing that out there.
And it's a different dynamic with the building, because if you already have a middle school, it's not set up to be an elementary school. So if you're trying to use existing space in a middle school, there aren't individual bathrooms in classrooms. The furniture's, I mean, it's probably okay with fourth and fifth grade, but it's not okay for third grade and less. And then right now at our current elementary schools, basically K through third grade, you essentially have individual restrooms at every classroom. And then the furniture and the casework is set up for those grade levels, where if you're at a middle school, it's already set up for sixth grade and up, which is almost adult height.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ms.
Well, I
Powers.
just had a couple other questions to finish up what I was saying. The impact fees, I'd also like to know where those impact fees were collected, which communities, because I know that, that's important. If they were collected in a specific community, I would like them to be spent in that community. I know we have large zones, and it's been a long time since we've talked about those, so I'd like to see where those impact fees actually came from.
So I can give you that information, because we watch it with Carter, but just so you understand, we actually involved a consultant that works for the county on impact fees. Currently, based on her analysis of our documents, which is the interlocal with the county, we do not have to spend the impact fees per our zones, because the interlocal is not written that way. What she interpreted every document and what she's seen across other districts is those impact fees can be spent across the district where the need is come up. So you don't have to build it in the actual zone of where the impact fees were collected. It's actually treated as one bucket of impact fees for Martin County School District to be used as the board and the superintendent decide.
I'd still like to know where they were collected.
But I can give you that information.
So I'm just saying, I'm not comfortable right now because of the expense that is, before we go in and look at our capacity system-wide. I think that it's premature for us to do that right now. And at $100,000 per student station, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I like the overall concept of it, but I would happen to agree with Mrs. Powers. And there's a lot of data that has not really been shown about where these students are going, polling numbers. If we were to bring this back, I'd like to see that actual data of where these people are going, because you don't want to decimate Anderson Middles. They're already at, I believe they have openings there. And if you take a big chunk of the population that would normally be going there, I would wonder about what the future would hold for them. So I would agree with Ms. Powers and her sentiments.
Just going to ask, you said you had spoken to SAC and, had spoken to your parents. When you were speaking to them, I'm just curious as to how many did anyone say they were planning on leaving? Or if they were planning on, not sending their students to Anderson?
Thank you, Ms. Watkins.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Brenda Watkins, principal at Crystal Lake Elementary. We have been having conversations because the rumor has been running around since last spring. And so several of my staff members and also several of our parents who are very active at our school, our PTA members, they're uncomfortable going to the middle school. And I know it's an ongoing issue that they said, if you add something like this, my child's staying. I'm uncomfortable, my child going to a middle school. They would reluctantly maybe do it, but we're also losing students to TCCA. We're also hearing that parents are choosing to go to private schools. We're seeing that when they are promoted, when we go through the promotion ceremony at the end of the year, that I can see sometimes where the records are going, and they're not all going to Anderson. They're choosing other options because they're uncomfortable with middle school.
Thank you.
So, really quickly before you sit down, how long has this trend been going on? This trend of kids not, parents not wanting to send their kids to middle school?
It's been going on for several years.
So it has nothing to do with the school choice or the...
No.
I have a question. When you started this process, I want to say it the right way. What led you to use Crystal Lake as opposed to Hobe Sound, Seawind, or another elementary school?
So in working with Miss Superintendent Maine, I was asked to look at Crystal Lake.
Okay. So I'm in deference to what Ms. Powers was saying. Is Crystal Lake the best, I don't know how to put it. What went into your decision to look at Crystal Lake and not look at some of the other elementary schools?
So if you look at some of the local communities and in where Crystal Lake sits, you've got all of those new developments over by South Fork High School. You've got all the new developments that are being built in front of the Crystal Lake corridor there as you're turning in to make a right-hand turn off the main highway. We gain a lot of students at Citrus Grove Elementary. Crystal Lake Elementary is in a prime location to be able to draw additional students to that school. We can either have talks of closing Crystal Lake Elementary, as we could other schools, or we could have talks of keeping Crystal Lake Elementary a vibrant part of that community, knowing that there are additional students and families potentially moving into those surrounding homes that are being built. I will also say that when you look at Seawind Elementary, Seawind is located in a neighborhood that is kind of a most of the students have graduated out. They are families that have lived in those homes for years, and so you're going to have to bus those families in from a lot of different areas or different elementary schools around the area. You can look at Hobe Sound as well, but Hobe Sound's proximity is pretty pushed out there. It's pretty far south. So you look immediately to an elementary school that has the ability to move and move now. There's 4 empty classrooms. Citrus Grove is a possibility as well, but Citrus Grove doesn't currently have any open classrooms. There are 4 open classrooms that can immediately absorb the 6th grade students next year without even having to build anything. Their cafeteria space is significantly larger than the other elementary schools. They have almost 2 whole sides to their cafeteria with enough square footage to manage 6th grade very easily. And those students would be able to play, if they were interested in sports, be able to play those sports at their home games at another middle school until a gym was built. So to answer your question, these are things for board to decide. But in coming up with what could be and you have a wonderful principal who's motivated and is wanting with the drive and the tenacity to say, I want to be a K-8 principal. And I believe she was going to retire here and said she would stay on 4 more years to see this happen, which is always a great thing. But I think in your mind, as a former K-8 principal, you have to have a principal willing and driven to take this on and have the vision for what the K-8 would look like. And she has definitely stepped up to the plate and is ready to go. So that was something else. I think I might have scared some of the other principals if I dropped it on their lap right now.
So,
Thank you.
one item of thought, just so you understand, by adding a gym, it's not like our elementary schools where you're basically building classrooms and the support facilities. The gym itself doesn't have any student stations. So the cost of the gym is added on top of that per student cost. So that's why it looks high, but at the same, you need that gym for the functions of a middle school. So the gym itself is not, it's a little strange because it doesn't have student stations. It's not a classroom building. So the cost of that is kind of outside those student station costs, but it drives that student station cost up because you need that function for a middle school. So I just want you to play with that in your mind. It's not like we're building an elementary school where everything is driven by the art room, the classroom, and the media center. So just for food for thought.
I will say, I don't, so those were factors in Crystal Lake, but I will tell you that, and I believe the board feels this way because we've had conversations, but the time is closer than we think to really, to Mrs. Power's point, thinking about K-8 options. That's where we lose our students. If I had to show you the migration data, not necessarily specific to where the Crystal Lake students are going, but if I was to show you the migration data from all of our elementary schools to middle school, we lose our middle school students. That's where we lose the largest number of our students is at our middle school. And then they come back to us in high school for traditional high school experience. So in my mind, as we look forward into the future, to capture those students, families feel comfortable when their fifth graders are able to stay right at the school and roll them up into sixth grade. And it's very easily done when you do one grade level at a time and slowly absorb those students and acclimate them to the campus. But we're open to bringing whatever information back forward to the board for discussion. It's just that that's where we're losing our students in middle school.
Go ahead. So I love the K-8 model. I love it. I think that it's a really great idea. However, I think we have to be careful at spending this amount of money to we're spending $100,000 per student station to keep 288 students over time. It's like we shouldn't just be spending the money. We need to spend the money just because we have it doesn't mean we have to spend it on this. And I think we need to do our homework in doing really a census of what the patterns are, but also where we don't have students and why are they leaving and would they actually stay? Because are they going to not choose TCCA where half of the students are going? And there's a reason that Citrus Grove is at is built up their capacity. It's because it's on the border of St. Lucie County. So I don't know that we're going to get people from St. Lucie County coming to Crystal Lake. I just think it's premature before we have a real inventory of what's happening. I love the K-8 model. I think it's great, and I agree. I don't like middle school either. I mean, I like middle schools, and they're doing a great job. It's just a tough time as a parent when your kids go off to middle school. And it is nice to have that continuity, and it is nice to have the older kids helping the younger kids. And there's a lot of benefits to a K-8 that I like as a parent. But as a steward of our taxpayer dollars that have been collected in this county, I am not in a position right now to say that I want to spend $100,000 per student station to convert to a K-8 when we have capacity throughout our system.
Yeah, and I'm also curious about when Citrus Grove was brought up, because you have that new field development coming in there, and that's obviously exploding that population over there about what that would take. Obviously, you said that Crystal Lake was better fitted for it, but what kind of a budget that might take to convert that one. For me, that makes more sense if you're making that huge investment. But, because that's a lot of money, and that's why we're up here, is to be good stewards of money. So, that's kind of where I'm at.
So I would flip it around and ask, what do we do if we don't have capacity at Crystal Lake? We're going to close the school. Is that an eventuality if this doesn't?
So let me preface.
And I'm not rumoring,
While I
I'm
use the
just-
word close school,
Yeah,
that is not something that the board, you have had any conversations with me, nor have I had with any staff. I just mention it because at some point, you have schools that are in the 400 student realm, right? We have schools that are built for 500-600 students, that multiple schools are 445, 450, 430. There are districts to our south that are having that conversation of closing schools. Enrollment is real, and the lack of enrollment is real. And so that's how we, as we know, we generate our dollars and to be able to operate. So while no, that is not being mentioned right now, you get to a place where you do start to have conversations, to your point about being fiscally responsible. Do we continue to run a building with 400 students? Or do we look at some point to combine and run a full school efficiently? That's, I want to thank you for bringing that back up. But there has been no talk of closing anything. It is not popular to have the conversation of closing schools. Nobody wants to have that conversation. But we just need to be real about whether or not we are being efficient with the schools that we are operating.
Well, I am in favor of this, what you showed us, and I'm happy to entertain anyone else's information that they want further before we go any further. So I would appreciate Ms. Powers and Dr. Moriarty asking you what it is they need or need further information on. Maybe it's a cost cutting. Maybe it's not at $100,000. Maybe we do something different to make it less expensive. I don't know. I'm not a magician, and I know you are not either. But I think it's the price tag that is more intimidating than we realized. So, but I want to have a K-8 model. I think that's what we need to do. We need to be creative with our district to get as many students back in the seats as possible. So I give him your laundry list of things that you want him to bring back.
I mean, one item you can think about, you're still going to have to provide a gym, but it can be phased in. The problem is you either pay now or you pay 3 years from now, but you're still going to buy a gym.
Right. I mean, I look at it, if we don't have a gym, we're jockeying the students somewhere else, and that's a cost. So everything that we don't do is a cost somewhere else. So I think it's something that this district needs, and I'd like to see it come to fruition, but I also would like it to be cost-effective and not have board members think that we're not being financial stewards. So can you make that happen?
Well, I think one of the things to look at is, like Mr. Main said, you can actually phase this in because you can, I mean, by August of 2026, you can have sixth grade started. And then you're still able to analyze those numbers between August and October when the real survey is taken. And then you can, by 2027, you can start phasing in the seventh grade and then maybe the eighth grade. And right now, in order to build a building, we're going to have to put portables in there to absorb some of that. So over those 2-year periods, you're still going to be able to analyze what's happening with that capacity at that school and what you're going to be able to retain. But you will, as I looked at the surveys across the district, which was this sheet right here, you can see how the numbers drop when we get to middle school. And then they go back up to where we're at, full capacity at our high schools. And the reason we're over capacity is because a lot of the schools are doing dual enrollment or whatever. So But you can see the numbers as they drop in our middle schools. And then we have schools like Palm City and Citrus where they're reaching pretty close to capacity.
Madam Chair? It's Tracy,
Hi.
I understand, I hear the request for data, and we can certainly provide all of the information. We've been taking notes about what's being requested, but if it's helpful tonight for any board members to know the percent of capacity, and mentioned why Crystal Lake was looked at for this. They're currently at 62% of capacity, which means right now they have a good amount of ability, as Mr. Sechrist was mentioning, to absorb this next class that's coming in. Principal Watkins currently has about 74 fifth grade students, and if those students, the majority of those students were to stay, then obviously we would look to the choice process to fill the rest of those seats that we would have available for sixth grade, because we do believe that throughout the district there are other parents of fifth graders who would be very interested in going to another location, another sixth grade that would be at an elementary school. So we feel pretty confident about being able to fill those sixth grade seats next year to be able to increase the capacity on that campus at Crystal Lake. Anderson Middle School is currently at 73% capacity, and if the vast majority, it is correct that those students do go and feed into Anderson Middle from Crystal Lake Elementary. The 74 fifth graders, if the numbers hold true, approximately 50 to 60 of those students would typically go to Anderson. They have 311 students in their sixth grade, so you would subtract about 50 of the students who would normally be going from Crystal Lake to Anderson. So if you're looking at the impact to other schools such as Anderson and looking at the impact next year to Crystal Lake, that gives you some approximations as to where we might stand with capacity numbers and percent of capacity for those schools.
Thank you. So, yes.
So I question the numbers that you're giving me, Dr. Miller. If you're saying we're at 62% capacity and we have 4 extra classrooms, then the 4 empty classrooms are 38% of the capacity of the school? So that means that the school has 12 classrooms?
She has additional capacity. Mr. Sechrist was mentioning that there are 4 rooms that are readily available in a location that would be specifically to this project, that would be ready to take on, could be ready to take on sixth grade next year.
Okay, so I think, just knowing from other districts where they've added sixth grade, my questions in particular are what the migration numbers look like, what the lapsing, the amount, and the zones of the impact fees, knowing that some of that information, I believe, is in our next agenda item that shows the source of the impact fees by zone. It doesn't necessarily show me the lapsing piece of what those are, and the pieces of the impact fees that are going to Martin County High School need to be subtracted from those in order to figure out exactly how much is impact fees. I would like to know, and much as I like Renee and appreciate his work, I think it may be premature to do a master plan services for a complete build out of the 30 million to make this to add 6 to 8. But I am interested in knowing what the cost is in this particular school and in any other school where we have capacity from empty classrooms, what that looks like to add sixth grade. I don't believe that if you're just adding a sixth grade and letting a fifth grader stay on for sixth grade, I don't believe it's a gym issue as much as it is a cafeteria issue, maybe a parking issue, and a classroom issue. I'm thinking that's what it is, and maybe a media center issue. I mean, I'm thinking that that's the areas that you're looking at, but I would be in favor of trying to add sixth grade next year to that school, not at the 100,000 per 74 students, because I really don't think it's going to take that. I think the $30 million is the building of a whole new thing, and I think the cost of conversion, let's say it's the cost of conversion of those 4 classrooms, the cost of conversion to get to a point where you could take 6th grade next year is worth looking at. And I know that the superintendent can probably check with other superintendents, but I mean, I know that that's I don't want to say a tradition, but it's a pattern that seems to be happening in the state of Florida, that if I'm running an elementary school and I'm starting to get extra rooms, that the 2 ends are where I can add students at. So I'm either adding early learning students at one end, or which has its own issues as far as everything having to be lower to the ground and having to be the first floor, or I'm adding at the other end and I'm tacking a 6th grade onto it and maybe not doing the gym or the other pieces of that, but I'm doing what I need in order to have a 6th grade class. So I'm interested in that. So maybe not in this particular agenda item of the master plan that Renee and Mark have in their vision, but having something that's moving forward to show what it would be to add a 6th grade piece, and those were my questions. Thank you very much.
So I'm fine with getting the price tag for adding 6th grade. And then if we did decide, okay, we'll add 6th grade next year, but then what? What if there's a lot of what ifs. So we make this investment, and what if kids are still going to TCCA and you don't fill up 4 classrooms that we renovated? Like, then what? And how will parents feel if we add 6th grade and we find out, oh, wait, it's not cost effective for us to offer that, and then they're going to middle school in 7th grade instead of 6th grade. I just think we don't have enough information, honestly.
Well, I'd still like to know what the cost of the school.
Absolutely.
Or is what pieces you need to add to that in order to make that happen. And if it's available classrooms and you can do it. The same way that when we were adding additional early learning classrooms, we were looking at the cost of what it costs to convert a classroom so that I can take a VPK or I can do whatever I need to at the lower end. I mean, I think it's the same type of exercise. And I do think part of it is whether you end up going to a pod, a homeschool, something else that's out there, that I think that if a family has developed, and maybe the principal can speak to this, if a family has developed a relationship over the years and their child has gone through and is up to 5th grade, that instead of making that decision of, well, where am I going to send them for 6th grade, if I can just leave them there for 6th grade, let them finish 6th grade, and I'll push off that decision for next year. So even if it never becomes a K-8, even if it just adds a 6th grade to the school, depending on what that cost looks like for adding the 6th grade, I do believe that there is interest in doing that.
So can we get a pricing for the workshop in October for adding the 6th grade and what that would cost? And in the meantime, the other questions that you have can also be researched.
Well, and I think we also need to rethink our construction, the way we construct schools in Martin County. Our facilities are absolutely beautiful and the envy across the state of Florida. But the reality is that we also build our schools the most expensively with brick on block. And we need to look if we're going to be, there are a lot of other less expensive but high quality construction that is much cheaper. And I know Renee is very well versed in that. And so I would like to start to look at some of those. If we're going to build new buildings, we absolutely want them to be high quality, but we also need to look at some less expensive models for construction.
So to recap, we are not going to vote on this. We are going to put it to an additional information at the workshop in October. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
And Renee. Sorry. We will now move on to five-year capital plan, Carter Morrison and Mark Seacrest.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, Mark, before you go, do you have what you need from the board for Renee to move forward with getting sixth grade?
So with the sixth grade, it's going to be an internal analysis.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before we moved on and.
If we decide to go seventh, eighth, then that's going to involve a master
All
plan.
right, just, thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to 18.10, proposed MOU general agreement, IRL NEP atmospheric station, weather station with Indian River Lagoon Council.
Move approval of 18.10.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Powers, a second by Dr. Moriarty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we need a 5-minute break, or can we continue?
I would like a 5-minute break.
Okay.
Is that
We're going to
okay?
take a 5-minute break. Mic drop. First review of school board policy. Do I have anyone from the audience that wants to say anything? Everyone's gone.
All right,
Um,
good. I move approval
any-
of 20.01.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Move approval of, are you 20 or 19, Marcia?
19.
Do you mean 19?
19.
Oh, I
01.
skipped right
Yeah,
down
we're
to the public hearing. Sorry. I take all of that back. We're not in the public hearing yet.
Okay.
So I move approval of 19.01.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move approval of 1902, 3, 4, and 5.
All
Second.
those in okay. Motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Ms. Powers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we move on to public hearing of school board policy 20.01, suspension or dismissal of administrators.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, a second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
You have to ask.
Oh. Do we have any comments from the audience regarding any of these policies? Seeing none?
There is no audience.
No. I said that earlier. Okay,
So I move approval of 20.02.
okay. Do I have a second?
We didn't vote on 01 yet.
Oh,
20.01, suspension or dismissal of administrators. May I have a motion?
You
So
have a
I made the
by
motion.
Powers, a
Okay.
second by Jen.
Second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 20.02, physical examination.
move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 20.03, fitness for duty.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. 20.04, school improvement.
Move approval, 20.04.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Russell, second by Ms. Powers. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. 20.05, field and other school-sponsored trips.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 20.06, educational options.
Move approval of 20.06.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Russell, second by Ms. Powers. All those in favor?
Aye.
20.07, virtual instruction.
Move approval of 20.07.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Russell, second by Ms. Powers. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. 20.08, Hope Scholarships.
Move approval of 20.08.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 20.09, career and technical education.
Move approval of 20.09.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 20.10, physical examination of student athletes. This is a policy that we will be rescinding.
Move approval of 20.10.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Russell, second by Ms. Powers. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. 20.11, dropout prevention and academic intervention programs.
Move approval of 20.11.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Russell, second by Ms. Powers. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. 20.12, exceptional student education.
Move approval of 20.12.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 20.13, selection and adoption of instructional materials.
Move approval of 20.13.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 20.14, evaluation of instructional personnel.
Move to approve 20.14.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Moriarty, second by Ms. Powers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Open to the board.
I have two things, just real quick. I want to give a shout out to Carter Morrison for all his hard work with the budget and his team. You did a fantastic job this year, Carter, and I I think everyone up here appreciates you and your team for all your hard work, so thank you. And the only other thing I had was, last night I went to a vigil for Charlie Kirk with several other people up here, and I thought it was a fantastic event, a great community event, and I just want to salute Jake Vale and the other people and the churches that put on that event. I think it was very, very well received and well needed in this community after the tragic events that happened last week. Thank you.
Thank you.
You, right?
You.
I'd like to thank the students and the parents and everybody who participated in the 9/11 programs, both the Bridge Walk and the First Responders Program that's been going on for several years. I'd also like to reiterate and thank Carter for the work on the capital plan and all that extra definition and citation of exactly, so we understand exactly what those pieces are in each line item. And then thank Ms. DeShazo and her people for the communication plan. Thank you.
I'm good. Superintendent? As the person who gets to go last, I never get to say all the first things that everybody else says, so ditto on all of it. I was so, number one, as Dr. Moriarty said, last night was such a moving ceremony in the city of Stuart. There were over 1,500 people that gathered, and it was the heart of Martin. That's what I'm calling it. The heart of Martin was out in full force last night. Even if you weren't there, you know what was happening, and everyone coming together and just being able to pray and just give thanks for what we do have. And our community is a wonderful one, and the district, state of the district was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. It was so well done. We've got our arches on either side. They'll last about a month, I think. We don't want it popping while the meeting is going on. But I want to reiterate everybody's thanks, the district coming together and Carter doing the magnificent job that you do, and everyone else just pulling together and seeing the great things that are happening and moving forward. So thank you, and with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Here. Hurry. Yeah. Take mine. I won't wear them. Yes, please do.